everyone. Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone. So, first of all, I just want to kick off with a thanks to Codex Script team and the entire team of Codex Script and Unnati especially to have me on board with us, with all of you, and giving me this particular opportunity to share my views on what is open source and what is this word called Git, which is quite buzz in the market, not from now onwards since it's got released. So I'll try to bring some of my industry expertise, that what I have been doing all around, and more important, let's try to keep it more interactive. So if you have any question, please feel free to drop in the chat section, and I'll come back once I'm done with like 20-30 minutes presentation, and then I'll happy to take one-on-one questions, because that is going to give us more better view. Okay, so moving ahead means I want to kick off a session with this quote from Shirley Sandberg, says that motivation comes from working on things we care about. It also comes from working with the people we care about. So basically, this four quotation absolutely aligns to my work ethics and my business ethics, that whatever you do, the people always come first. Even if you, in today's world, if you talk about the digital transformation is not only that you adopt the technology digitally. It's all about creating a process and caring the people, bringing the mindset from the legacy application to the modernized application, right? So it's all about people, processes, and the platform all together, because digital transformation cannot be happen just adopting by the digital technologies. Similar thing, the motivation, or I should say the open source, is all about that particular things, means you care about people. And that's why we say is that when we talk about open source, everyone is our friends and family. So today I just want to build that particular same motivation for you all to get started with open source, start contributing to open source, and let's see how we can take the things ahead. So before moving, let me talk about the industry trends. Like if you are supposed to get hired in an organization, that particular organization might be already using the legacy softwares, or I should say they are already having some of the softwares which is being developed by their like years of experience. Now you might be getting hired with the role of a system administrator, the database expert, or the cloud architects, or the senior developers, or might be the managers and interns and xyz position. Now in today's world, what people are expecting you to know the each and every single fundamentals of that software. Is it possible? No. But getting to know the groundwork, absolutely yes. Because today, every single legacy software, or I should say more than 90% of the softwares which company builds, are revolving around the open source technologies itself. Now, what is the major challenge that people are looking for the open source? Now, thing is, if you see this particular dragon, which I just took a picture, that he's snoring out. Why? Because individual persons like cloud architects, system administrators, project admins, DBA, senior developers, interns, XYZ, they are doing the work in which they are expert. They are not able to collaborate. Means the work is happening in silos. There is no proper mechanism which says that a complete loop should be followed, or the team interactions need to be there. Now if you talk about the team interaction, hey, do I really need to be the developer if I'm a system admin? Or as a developer, do I really not need to know what is infrastructure or what is database or something? Technically no, but definitely it is going to help you to sustain more in the digital era. Because if you are only expecting a job to learn Linux or some system administration skills or cloud architects, definitely not gonna help you in the running a long race. So that is the scenario which is happening in the industry right now. But the people who are getting hired and getting a very lucrative packages, they know the concepts of each and every single thing. But yes, definitely they masters one technology, and that's the reason they are being assigned to that particular title. Even if you talk about, I pulled out some of the survey reports, and it says that one of the top skills that IT managers are looking to hire, or I should say the employers are basically in today's world are looking for the open source talent. If you talk about, like, 87% of hiring managers find it difficult to find employees with your enough open source talent. And that why I just said that if you want to be in a company, you need to know bits and byte of each and every single thing that company does. So you cannot be just only a developer, you go there or just get started. No, they will initially coach you, but it will become easy for them to coach you that if you know the basics or the fundamentals of that particular part. Even if you talk about some of the statistics, it says that 80% of hiring manager seek Linux talent. Irrespective of distributions, in today's world, Linux is contributing in every single IT sector. So you need to know whether you are a developer, system admin, cloud expert, you should be knowing Linux itself. And other than Linux, the most demanding fill on the LinkedIn, or I should say some of the Glassdoor activities which I was founding, DevOps, engineers, or system admins. These are the most trending requirement which companies posts, and they are seeking the talent of out over here. But more important keyword buzz is the open source. So let us talk about what is open source. Can someone please unmute yourself and just tell me what is this open source means to you, or what is open source according to you? Anyone?
Yeah, so
Yeah,
yeah,
please.
so basically, on GitHub, we have to like merge some issues and
Mhm.
contribute to some repos that is all about open source, I guess.
On GitHub, you just merge something. Okay, that is one thing. Anybody else? Can you just tell me what is open source?
Open source, I think it's probably like a framework where people
Mhm.
collaborate and they work on something together.
Mhm.
It's peer production and like which is it's like open source software is something which is available to the public, like out in open, and people from
Mhm.
across the globe come together and contribute their its and bits in
And
in
suggest.
developing the
Mhm.
software all in one.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, what I was able to look out and put it in a very shorter way is that open source software is a software that source code, with a source code that is accessible to anyone who can inspect it, modify it, and enhance it. I believe everybody agrees to this particular part,
Yes.
Yes,
right?
sir.
Okay. So somebody rightly mentioned that open source is all about creating a culture, or I should say, it's by developing a mindset. It is not something that you just offer free of cost to anyone. I'll come on to that later part, that does open source really means free? That is again a big myth in the market, but yes. So there can be anything which is available, or it is not just the technology which is just available to like on GitHub or on the Google, which is inspectable or can be modified or can be enhanced. Even if you look out around you, there are a lot of things that are available with like the culture or the mindset of open source. And I'll jump on to the part when I'm going to discuss this, that if open source is equals to free or something like that. But now we got to know open source. So when this open source got started, what actually open source means to us, how we can contribute to open source, and actually moreover important question is who all can contribute to open source. So in 1990s, we discovered that the very fundamentals, that yes, the IT world has now started using a buzzword called open source. Now, what is open source? Which is available to like globally, or to people to whom they want to just contribute. They can see the code, they can modify it, they can enhance it. But there is a very slight differentiation on this particular part. When I say 1990s, IT started realizing that yes, there is something which we can distribute for free of cost. But according to me, when you say that is there something which is available free of cost, I guess water is something that I believe everybody can correlate that yes, it is freely available. Now you might throw me a question that no, we are paying for water. Absolutely, you are paying for a water. Now, if you take an example of Bisleri or Aquafina, that are the waters thing which are payable or which are getting paid. If you want to have it, you need to pay for that. But on the other side, if you see, go to any river or any dam, or I should say any ocean for that matter, or sea, do you really pay? No. So that is how the open source works. It might be free, it might not. It totally depends on the software that you are using and how you are going to use it. Open source is available free. Does it has a trademark? Absolutely no. If you mean by open source, yes, there will be a certain organization or a mentor who has started that project. But at the end of the day, there is no vendor lock-in that yes, I have put a stamp onto it that this is particular thing which is being known to me, or this is being like I should say owned by me. I have the only rights or something like that. No, anybody can use it. Now, more important question comes, how I can contribute to open source. So there are two different ways. Either you create your own open source project, or second, there are multiple open source projects being developed by people like us. You can go there, fetch their repo, and you can start contributing to it. There are a lot of plenty of organizations which like give you their codes, and you can modify it, enhance it, and if you want, just go there and edit and create on like on your own. So that is how who all can contribute. If you are a developer, you are a designer, you are a documentation expert, you are a system admin, you are a tester, if you want to be an advocate, like who wants to spread the word open source, yes, these all are the ways to contribute. So it is nowhere said that if you are a strict developer, c, c++, java, c sharp, on many other languages, if you know only those, then you can get started with open source. Absolutely no. Even if you know how to just turn on the computer, if you know how you can speak in front of people, if you know how to like write good english or different languages, you can be the contributor. Because if you see that if I want to contribute to any project, before that there is a project. Now people might want to understand that what is this code is all about, so that documentation is also required. Now without a framework, or I should say a proper design, you definitely need certain people to design that application or that project. So designers are also the equally contributors to the open source world. So developers, system administrators, a documentation expert, designer, everybody can contribute to open source. There is no restriction to that. Taking ahead, now this is a typical example which I like choose to explain you. So there is a developer who actually have a source code and a compiled program. Now most of the people think that this compiled program is also available. Answer to that is no. The source code of the application is available free of cost. You go there, the user or the developers can use it, enhance the particular code, and that how the particular application becomes more improved or more secure, more vulnerable, risk free, and many other things. Can this compiled program be also available free of cost? In some case yes, in some case no. This is totally depend on this particular developer, or I should say the owner of that particular program. So that's why I want to say, like, open source, does this really mean free? So there is two concept which is revolving around open source. One is open source softwares. Second is free open source software. And when I say open source software, now here is the business mindset behind it. This is exactly like the same. Water is available for free of cost. Bisleri took that free water, they added some chemicals, or I should say, they process that particular water and make you like pay for it. Or I should say, they have packaged the water in such a way that it is possible to risk free water which you can just consume it. On the other side, if you see, just go to the ocean and all that are called the free open source software, which is just available free of cost. The compiled program or the source code, everything is there. Now when I say, you might be laughing that why I say that water is a compiled program. Now when you want to taste some water by dipping like go while going to the seashore or the river shore, you will be able to understand that there might be some dust particles and xyz things are available or mix into it intentionally or unintentionally. Now that is why the compiled programs are also available, which are freely available right there in the market. So There are two terms: open source software and free open source software. Open source software has a business mindset. When they create the particular software, they create a business strategy out of it, and then the source code is available free of cost. You go there, contribute to it, make it more secure, help to enhance the feature, every single thing. On the other side, compiled program is getting charged. Free open source software, which is compiled program, is also freely available, source code is also available. You go there and create on your own. So that is one thing. Now, taking ahead, what in IT world our regular day, or I should say workflow, happens. So like if you and me are working on certain project, what I'll do, the method number one is I'll create a file, I'll save it, I'll edit it back again, and save and repeat, edit, save, repeat, something like that. So basically a file is created, I keep on dumping my data inside that particular file. Second means I just create a file, save it, edit it. You go inside, resolve that particular file, save it back again, or you create the multiple version of that particular file. Like I personally do Gaurav 1, Gaurav 2, Gaurav 3, similar thing like that. Now take, there might be another scenario which is like involvement of a team is there. So if you see, like there is a one person who creates that particular file, save the file, edit it, resolve it, or I should say just keep on creating the multiple version. Now similar thing happen when it comes to like person number two. Now just to explain, take an example of your like college communities. Means they create a shared drive, you keep on dumping the data inside that, you multiple time access that particular file, make the changes as per their requirement, and this goes on. Now when I say this entire process, how I am controlling or I am visualizing it, it is called the manual version control system. Now, this is something like I just took a screenshot, like where I have created one file. Now, this is that again, the final version of that particular file. Somebody else are also creating that particular file. Means a single repository or a single directory in which we all are supposed, means we all have the access, we all are supposed to just keep the data inside that. Now, this is one, I update it, I modify it, the final version is out. Something similar to that. Now, the major question comes in the manual version control system is, when was the file last modified, or even when it was modified? How you can keep the track? Do I need to go and every single time I have to click on like properties and get that file done? Might take it tough. Then what is the file, like inside that data it got changed? Means if I see myself, I'm keep on working on multiple files, do I really need to keep a track that what is getting changed inside that particular file? Answer to that might be yes, might be no, because you never know that what at what time what I have made the changes. But if I'm as a like organizer of that particular project, I definitely want to know what are the changes that you have compiled in. So in manual this becomes very tough. Then why it is modified? Are you putting down a proper comment? Or if you are creating multiple file, what was the reason you were creating multiple file? Is there any difficulty in uploading that particular file? And many others. Who changed it? Now that repository or that directory is being accessible to everyone in that group. Now let's say as a group I put it down like file. Now B person comes in and he changed that particular file or she changed that particular file. Do I keep the track of that particular thing? In manual it definitely become very very hectic. Or last but not the least, how I'm gonna suspect that who person or who was that person who changed that particular thing? So all these particular questions relies, and we understood in the organization that manual version controlling is absolutely a bullshit. So what we need, so we basically require a version control systems which can help us to like answer all these particular question. And that's where the popular version control system like Git, Mercurial, Apache Subversioning, Bazaar, many other things are available. But the topmost buzz in the market right now is Git. So, can someone tell me who created Git? Anyone? Nobody knows who created Git? No wild guesses also? Is there something in the chat?
Linus
Linus
Torvalds.
Torvalds. Yes, absolutely. Linus Torvalds like created this gate. So I guess you guys find the time to do Google. Just kidding. So Linus Torvalds created the Git, and the other biggest contribution of Linus Torvalds to the open source world is the Linux operating system. Absolutely correct. So let us just talk about what is this Git is all about. So Git is again a free and open source distributed VCS designed to handle everything from small to very large projects with speed and efficiency. But obviously, Git is created by the Linus Torvald. So the major reason why Linus Torvalds created this Git, or what was he facing as a issue, because I just talked about that Linux Torvald give us the biggest open source software, which is called Linux, to the entire world. What was the challenges he was facing? Exactly the same questions which I just asked, that if somebody has made a change, how I'm going to keep the track, or if I have to release something new, how I'm going to manually remove these manual interventions which I'm getting. So why Git? One, the most important part is security, because collaboration can happen anytime while maintaining the source code integrity. Using branches, the developers can basically safely proposes the changes to the production code. Now, this example, take it in this way, that I have a single repository and everybody is contributing to that particular source code. Now, if that source code is supposed to take for the production, how I am going to get secure that you are going to push the change which is acceptable? So I have to create some branches out of it. Similar thing happens. It helps us to create the better collaboration. So Git lets the developer see the entire timeline of their changes, the decision, and the progression of any project in one place. So let's say I'm working in India and you might be working in US. So there might be a time conflict happening. But if I'm making any change through Git, I can definitely help to see that when you have made the last change, so from there onwards I have to take it ahead. Or if I am making some change, you can keep the eye on my timeline, that okay, this is the how the things are getting resolved. More important, it makes the communication better, because the business using Git can be break down in the communication barriers between the team. Because when you see the last application or the final product, it is the combination of the various teams contributing to that particular project. Now, that every single team can be addressing you at the different time zone, and their contributions you need to track as a single identity. So it basically help you to manage that which team has just done the pushes. Do I need to accept it? Do I need to reject it? Do I need to check before I make the final push update to that? And the fourth most important part, that why Git, it was because of the Linux Torvald who was maintaining the kernel versioning. So Linux is nothing but a kernel, means it's just like the brain in the human body. So kernel is something which controls the entire Linux operating system. Now, he was facing the similar challenge, that if I have to give it to the developer, or if I have to give to the system admin, if I have to give to the tester, how I can keep the control. So bringing the security, collaboration, and a better communication approach, he thought of inventing Git, which made his life easy to release the kernel versions, right? So this is how the entire, and why the Git is equally important for every single individual. Now, if you see that how the things works in Git, so there is always a master branch, which is the initialization of a project. Now this master branch is basically, now you can say, can be cloned to basically the developers. The features are keep on getting in, like invented. This developer creates a separate branch for features. They can be merged, or it can be just for the testing. Means every single feature are not supposed to get in the final product, but yes, what the developers do, so they keep on like initializing, testing the features, and once the testing is done, they merge the code and they add on those particular feature. Now, instead of this final like the product which the developer has assigned, instead of getting directly merged into the final master branch, they come on to the release part. Now this release is getting tested. If it is it it is fine, like, okay, this is good, then it gets added to the final version. Or else it again goes to the developer that, hey, look, there might be some change, let's work on it, let's fix the bugs, and then go back again. So it helped me that how the things are working. Now you as an individual, what you can do, you can copy this particular master branch, add the like features, and you can request this developer to add it. Now this developer will check that whether this feature is accessible or not. Once it is done, they will help to the release team that, hey, look, this might be a new bug fix for the previous minor version or the major version. Once it is done, it is getting accommodated in the final version, which you definitely sometimes gets credits and all the things like that. Now, some of the Git command, Git is very easy to set up. Means what you have to do, you can create your accounts on Mac or on Linux or on Windows. Just go to github.com, create your own account, and you can do it. Now, for a particular project, you can check the multiple branches because there are always listed. So Git branch, Git push, checkout, and all other things are there. Just for the explanation that Git is very much easy to use. So now we have a terminal based Git also, and you have a digital version, means a web based UI called GitHub. You go there, you can keep the tracks, you can check out your project, and every single thing is also available. So Git can be accessed via command line or can be also accessed through graphical portals also. Moving ahead, Git always have believed in these three keywords: make the changes, add the changes, and commit the changes. So what does this really mean? Means I have created a project. Now I'll ask you that, hey, you clone this particular project at your machine, which is like on your local machine, it is untracked. Means you copy the entire repo. Now you keep on adding the particular change. Now, before making a final commit to your source code, you have an option to reset it. Means as soon as you do a git add, it basically come to a stage area where on your local repository, you can check what all the changes that you have done. If you feel that no, these changes might not look worthy to submit, what you can do, you can just hit a command called git reset, and it again resolve, or I should say dissolve, all the changes that you have done. It come back to the untracked area. Then you can again modify the code and you just put down a git add. Now if you are comfortable that, hey, look, I am absolutely fine to merge my code to the remote repository, you make a git commit. That means from your local machine, now changes, only the changes are going to get pushed to my final repository. So this is the very basic timeline that how the git works. You get your entire repo cloned to your machine, which is untracked. Means on your local machine, whatever you do, it is definitely going to be untracked. It is not being tracked by the GitHub. Now, if you make any change, put a git add, and it comes to a staging area where you have still have the decision to revert back to the previous stage or go ahead. Now, once you make a git commit, yes, it definitely created a git commit to your final repository, which is on your remote server. Now, when I say commits and all, during the git, two major keywords are there. One is pull request and second are the issues. Now what is this is all about? So let's say this is your master branch. What you do, you basically clone the entire branch to your local machine. You make the commitments, you make the changes out there, and then you submit a pull request. Now, this is similar thing, the last which we just discussed, that you clone the entire repository on your local machine, you make the changes and you hit a git commit. Now, this git commit is being managed by a lot of people where they discuss the proposed changes. Means I'm going to discuss with you like, okay, this is something good, this is something not. So the pull request that you have submit might get accept, might get reject. If it get accept, it is being merged to the master branch. If it is not, it just simply back revert and stays here, so that your master branch is not affected. And that was one of the main reason that version control system is important, because if you are directly contributing to this particular code, how we are going to keep the track, or if something goes wrong, my entire application might get down. And open source is all about the collaboration. So before making any change, the proper discussions are required. So this is being discussed by the different industry veterans and the advocates, or I should say the contributors. They openly discuss it. If that works fine, then only the feature get merged to the main branch. Now, this is one of the pull request. Or if you, let's say, if you want to create any issue, now you replicate this entire application onto your local machine, and you found that this is a bug or this is a vulnerability that you have detected, so that you can openly go and tell to that project maintainer that, hey, look, I found out something. And one of the most famous tool to report any bug is Bugzilla. You create an account, you go there and start talking that, hey, I have an issue, can you just check it? Or I'm facing this issue, can you just check it? Or I detected this issue, can you check it? So that is how also things work. Moving ahead, now there are certain open source etiquettes that comes along while creating any issue or while creating any pull request. Some are like, always fork the project you want to contribute to. Never ever directly make a commit to the master branch. Always fork that project to your local machine, create a dump of it, start working on it. Once you are absolutely sure, then directly put down a PR request. So this is how, what I want to say, create a pull request instead of directly pushing to the master branch, because that always helps. Sometimes our views cannot be aligned to the major project view, but again, it totally depends on individual choice. If the project maintainer has given you the access, you can definitely do, but it is always good to make a pull request rather than directly just pushing it out. Add labels to it. Commenting becomes very, very important aspect of any project while detection. So if you see that, if I want to contribute to any project and I'm making some change, it will be very efficient and very good if you start commenting onto those things. And when I say comment, means you keep on commenting that, hey, I'm making this change because of these things. That comment might not be used for processing the code changes that you have done, but might be helpful for the other person to understand. So that's the very important, that if you are making any change, add labels to it. Address the issue ID in the pull request. Now, if you already working on a issue which is being given by your fellow mate or fellow contributor, when you are making a pull request, do mention that issue ID. That is similar, you add a comment to it, because ultimately the project maintainer will be able to understand that, hey, oh, this was a issue which somebody detected, somebody asked, and this is how it is getting resolved. So this makes the work easier. Like, if someone is already working on the project, wait for 10-15 days of the activity. Means what people or what the student does is, they expect the immediate response. It might not work, because in the open source everybody has their own priorities. So they are working because of their like intention to contribute. So wait for 10 to 15 days for the revert back. It is not always like you just go and spin up the ball. So you need to wait for certain time, and then only you can ask for a response, or raise again issue which is being not addressed by someone. And last but not the least, be cooperative and be collaborative. Don't test the patience or don't expect the immediate reward. You might be also working on to your work life and your profession. They are also working, so respect the privacy of others, wait for the response, be cooperative, be collaborative, be open to share the knowledge. Right, it's all about the open source things. So that are some of the like open source well defined etiquettes. And when I say well defined, last but not the least always comes create documentation. Whenever you submit any PR, whenever you create any issue, define that issue properly with the proper proofs and the elaboration. How you took ahead, how you detected that, what was the issues that you face, if you have tried to resolve it, if it worked or not, if you have used any reference, every single thing you need to mention, because somebody else who is you gonna work on that particular issue, they might be find easy that, okay, these are the steps that you have already done. So rather than trying the same workout, they can easily do it on some other works. Taking ahead, this is how the entire works thing works. So there is like a someone else repository, you fork it to your GitHub. Now you clone that particular repository to your local machine, you start working on it, you pull or like I should say push the repository to this particular remote of yours, that okay, hey, this is something which is there, so to keep the track. Now if you are happy that okay, these are my tasks that I have done, now if you want to submit a PR, you go and submit to your upstream. Here the changes will happen. So it is always advised, don't directly do the PRs, fork that particular repository or clone to your, and then work on your local repository and then start working on it. Now, I want to give you a very simple quote that is being done by the Richard Branson, I guess, or somebody else. I don't know who just said it, but somebody wisely said that when people are financially invested, they wanted a return. When people are emotionally invested, they want to contribute. And similar thing happens in the open source. It's all about the contribution. So it's all about the willingness of creating a better community, a better collaborative decisions, or the mindset altogether. It's not somebody can force you to go and contribute. Or I should say, when people are coming to me also like, hey, I want to go to Google Summer of Code, and if Google Summer of Code is getting the application opens by April, this simply comes to us in January that, hey, I want to get started and I want to contribute. No, everybody has their own emotional attachment to that particular project. You found out your interest. Once that particular interest excites you, you automatically will start loving contribute. It's not about winning in the open source world or in the contribution story. It's all about creating a better version of the software which is existing. So stay connected and keep learning. I'll jump on to some of the questionnaires. So if you want to connect to me, you can drop me an email on ping2gaurav@gmail.com, or you can follow me on my social media handles, whether it is Twitter, Instagram, or LinkedIn by RSCA Sharma. Or else, recently I also started giving back to the community where I have my own YouTube channel called Cheers with Gourav. You can find some amazing podcast, or I should say some of the learning giveaways and exciting sessions out there. And with that, I am again thankful for each one of you to attend this particular session, and Unnati and the entire Codex script team to help me in putting this entire effort all together. Let me see if there are certain questions for me. I can take them up. Okay. So there are some questions. So, sir, I have a doubt since there are so many contributors. So who owns the code? Does credit to the who made a small contribution? So Bhavika, definitely yes. There are like lot of contributors who gives the contribution success to the small contributions also. Now it totally depends that in the IT world you might be liking it or you might not be liking it. But I have seen critically, if you have submitted a bug, definitely you are going to get a credit for that same. It is never like you just go there and sit idle. You will definitely gonna get some of the credits. People might send some swags, and there are a lot of things that keep on happening around the open source project. So always check before creating that issue or creating that PR, that if there's somebody else who is already working on it, because it is always good to check that if something is already being cooked, you don't just go and do it. So that's like that way. Is there somebody else to whom I can answer? Okay, Abhishri has a question. For applying for the projects like Google Summer of Code, Outreachy, how should we approach if we don't know any strong command in programming? Like for going forward. So Abhishri, I would simply suggest, even so am I don't know coding, I don't like the coding, but there are a lot of ways to contribute to things. Now if you talk about specifically to Outreachy has a very different approach towards the community selection, where they also search for the girls who are good in documentation. So there are certain projects who can help, like you can help them to what I should say, contribute in creating a better documentation of it. Second, talking about Google Summer of Code or something, Definitely you require a coding mindset to create that particular project. However, there are a lot of projects, like I can talk about Fedora. So now if you talk about Fedora, there are like a lot of opportunities being a QA, quality assurer, where you can go and test and help us to like contribute to the better upliftment of the features. And if you get selected in Google Summer of Code, you will be assigned to that particular project where everyone is contributing in their way. So it's not always that you need to know about the coding, then only you can contribute. No, there are multiple ways. What I can suggest, go ahead and search like just this keyword called what I can do for Fedora, and you will end up into the particular landing page where you can see there are multiple ways to contribute, and all those ways are being also accepted like during the Google Summer of Code applications and other things. Basically, you need to be visible in the community, and that's how there will be multiple doors which get open up. Means, I rightly said that Google Summer of Code mentors who are going to select you, they definitely keep an eye on your timelines, that okay, this person got activate on GitHub or Git just about 2 to 3 days back. No, they are going to check whether you are working like continuously on Git, are you helping the others, how you are promoting open source, everything is being taken under consideration. And even if you go to some of the sites called issues.net or good first issues, beginner issues.io, everything is there. So you just go there and start contributing to it. Now, how to choose a project and what are the important things to consider while choosing a project? Now, Swapnil, very important thing is that should be your interest. Means, if I am good in Java, let's take an example. Now, thing is, people sees that there is a lot of opportunities which are available on Java, but and that's the reason you get start learning the Java. No, if you talk about like just about Fedora, you can also code in Python, you can also code in C, you can code in C++, and many other things also. Now, while choosing the project, first of all, understand your strong points. If it is like, okay, now I have a very good stronghold on Python, now start searching or your good first issues or the beginners issue which are related to Python. Now, while addressing those issues, you will automatically land up into some of the organization commits which can helpful for you. Now, what people does is wrong is that as soon as this applications for the what I should say, the Google Summer of Code or something opens up, everybody got there and they just simply just get start to that particular things. Like, hey, Java has like 15 opportunities. I'll go there and I'll start off with those 15. Absolutely no, it is not going to work, because somebody else is also seeing that why you have chosen that. It doesn't mean that I have 15 opportunities. Let's go ahead and do it. You need to understand your strong point once you get it, and then you just start deciding it. So I would say just search these keywords like good first issues. So good first issues are always helpful to understand for the beginners, that okay, these are the like small issues which beginner friendly, right? So that way you just go ahead and just talk about that, and I believe while searching these or resolving these issues, you will end up into a good organization. For MMs and mix both which are contributor and Qt, but I'm not storing in C. So to be open, Swapnil, I don't know much about these languages, so no idea. I won't be able to comment, but definitely you reach out to me. I can help you to connect with some of the industry experts. I have some of my org admins are quite helpful to me. That they I have a personal connect. So do reach out to me, and I can like help you to connect with them. and I believe they will be the right persons to like help you in understanding these issues. So I haven't worked on the music mixing softwares, but I can get some link and let's see. Yes, you can drop me an email on to ping2gaurav@gmail.com. Just drop me. I'm quite active in resolving my mailbox, so I can definitely get you connected or share down some of the person, or I loop that particular person in mail. So Nati, that's it from my side. Thank you so much for help. Okay, how can a first year student prepare for Google Summer of Code Web Hub? Definitely get start with the beginner friendly issues, start resolving it. If you have good idea, go down to that particular mentor and organization, talk about on the Slack channels, or I should say nowadays Discords. Search for them. If you want to like contribute to Fedora, just drop me an email that hey, I'm interested in connecting to the contributing to Fedora organization. I can revert you to the org admin of Fedora, and there you can get started. Okay,
Yes,
Unnati.
so
Yeah, please. Thank you for having me again.
yeah, so it's a pleasure to have you again. Like I've literally means I started open source in my third sem. So I would like means अब बहुत ज़्यादा आगे कुछ करने वाले का सोच रहे हैं. And with your
Amazing.
guidance, we could also proceed.
No, always just remember one thing, that open source is not about the way you want to go ahead. It's never too late to get start. Day one or one day, always remember, just understand that part. Is it going to be one day or it is going to be day one? Anybody can be there. Like the open source people or the project maintainers, they are very open, and I keep on organizing some of the communities. So like just Webber just asked, so keep follow me on LinkedIn and Twitters. I keep on posting and sharing the contents to get involved in the community project, and recently I'm gonna like make it more effective from the February, because like yes, I started loving with the open source projects and communities, so I'm making these things available to all my connections. Do reach out to me, do follow me on like Twitter or Instagram or on the LinkedIn, or even just subscribe to my channel. You can always find quite good updates out there. And for a lot of people, today, if you are a person who loves to read novels, or like you are a person who loves to read, actually, I am actually doing a giveaway, or I should say a sort of interaction with one of the communities called Wordo Cart. Just subscribe to the link. I'll be live on this channel 7:30, and most of my videos are always live, so you get a chance to go there and comment. And I'm doing some giveaways for book and some more exciting news live in this session. So the next is gonna be some of the communities work and many other ways. So I just don't want to just promote down just the YouTube stuff over here, but yeah, definitely you can go and watch out the things right over there. So it's all about the giving back to the community. So yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, Nati.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Sure. Thank you, people. See you out there someday. Stay connected, keep learning, keep sharing, enjoy, stay safe. Bye bye.
Bye, sir.